All right, everybody should have just gotten that notification. I'm admitting Sandy back into the meeting. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to our second virtual ward night. The topic for this meeting is tips for the fall season. Let me see. Okay, housekeeping. We have our community agreements that are also in the chat. Be present, be compassionate, be generous, and be brave. And so these are just about making sure that we're giving everybody time to speak and also, asking questions when we have them. Sharing resources. If somebody asks a question and you have information, feel free to drop it in the chat, and we can all, get some of these questions answered together. And then our agenda is down below. So we'll go through. I have a couple of reminders, and then I'll toss it over to Angel, our Director of Neighborhood Services, and he'll go through some of the fall resources and reminders. And then we'll do a Q&A for 30 minutes, or, we might have more time left than that. Yeah, and then we'll get you all out of here to enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Okay, so for my reminders, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are doing a Halloween decoration contest on social media this year. And so if you have any kind of Halloween decor that you're doing this month, post a picture on whatever social media platforms you use with this hashtag 48th spooky decor. And then, go and like the ones that are your favorites, and then we'll put them to a vote in the newsletter. And we have a super fun prize planned for the winner. So that's one thing. And then we also have a couple of dates in October where people can come in and color some coloring sheets and hang them in our windows and just help us decorate our office for the season to help us, get festive over at 1129 West Bryn Mawr. So I know these graphics are pretty small on this slide. They're also in our previous newsletters. So once I toss it over to Angel, I'll link those in the chat as well. And I'll also link the newsletter subscription thing in there in case you're not subscribed to the newsletter. But yeah, that's some stuff that's going on this month. And then we also are going to be setting up something in our office for the Day of the Dead. We'll set up an altar or shrine in our office. And so I'm still working on that with some of the other folks from our staff. And so we'll look out for that on socials and in the newsletter for more information. Okay, Angel, all you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Angel. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, my family's in the kitchen back there. If you guys can't hear me, I will move.
What's for dinner?
Man, that's a good question. It's soup. It's like a chicken soup that we call it caldo in Spanish. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. It's really good. I don't know how to really say it all in English, but chicken soup, I guess.
I'd love to hear it in Espanol.
Yeah, so it's called caldo de pollo. So we have yuca. It's a whole ton of vegetables in it. Potato. My grandma knows more about it. She's the pro here. But if you guys can't hear me, let me know, please, and I will move to a different room. But hello, everyone. Angel, Director of Neighborhood Services. My job is to help you navigate bureaucracy here in the city of Chicago, connect you to resources, and ensure that our city services are working well in our ward. So today I kind of it's really just going to be a couple things. We're transitioning into the fall, and that means a lot of things, right? We're going to start seeing leaves. I think Sandy's trying to. We're gonna start seeing some leaves falling off of our trees. Everybody's favorite little season, the colors and everything. And with that comes Mother Nature and whatever it comes with it. So what we're gonna see is an increased number of yard debris that people are gonna want to dispose of. And as a reminder, the city does pick up yard waste. So if you have twigs, very small, just yard waste, no rocks, nothing major, or tree branches like that. But the city does pick up yard waste for folks who are gardening or whatever they may be doing, or managing the waste that comes with the fall, right? And that is available via the 311 website. So I will link that down below. Also, that comes with leaves covering the catch basins, right? So people believe that the city are the ones that we do street sweeping still during the fall. All of that continues. But the problem is that leaves accumulate in these catch basins and sewers. And what that does is it keeps water on the street, right? And so people think okay, I'm going to put in a 311 for water on the street. When in reality, it's just some dirt and leaves that, are stuck there. So one of the things and the differences between that and actual sewer being clogged is that the city is not responsible, and this is not popular, but it is what it is. The city's not responsible for cleaning the catch basins. So the street sweeper will come by. But if it's like leaves and things that are accumulating by the sewer and everything else, um, neighbors are actually responsible for just clearing it out. We're not saying to open the sewer and clean everything out. We don't want you to do that, but the surface of the street where the leaves cover the street, that causes the water on the street. So that is the responsibility of the homeowner or the building owner, business owner, whatever it may be, because we have limited crews. It'll take forever if we had water crews going and cleaning catch basins, all over the city. So I will link that in a minute, the 311, so you can have it either saved or whatever, or you could also look it up on the website. You could literally look up yard waste pickup request, and then have it in a nice either paper bag or plastic bag next to your garbage, and somebody from our Department of Streets and Sanitation will come and pick it up. We also do the same thing with leaves. Leaves is the same thing, right? You pile up your leaves, you put it on as yard waste. You could either put it in the front or the back. Make sure you specify that and you request, and somebody will come out and clean it up. So that's just a little bit of it. We also see degrading tree health, right? So some trees, some of them make it, some of them don't. If you believe a tree is dead, that is for a certified arborist to sort of determine, and you would have to put in a 311 request to get the tree removed. And again, only a certified arborist can make that call. Our office can't make that call. Nobody else can make that call. And so we're also going to see tree branches falling. And for that, that's a separate request. So you have your yard waste, which is your shrubbery and whatever that may come with that. And then you have your tree debris. So there is a tree debris pickup request on 311 as well. You put in the tree debris request, or you can call our office. We can help you walk you through it, whatever method you would like to use. And then we'll have a crew go out, a tree crew, be our forestry crew, to pick up the shrubs. So that's kind of just what happens in the fall, right? We have winter coming, and we're going to have sort of the same sort of process here. But I'm more than happy to send any information regarding that. And then lastly, flooding. We've seen increased rain, right? Increased basement flooding and damage to our infrastructure due to climate change and other reasons. So I'm going to put a link to the water management's website for basement flooding. And there you can find out how you can safeguard your home, your basement, whatever it may be, from flooding, and also natural things you can do to your home to prevent flooding. For example, rain gardens and all these things that exist. And in our next newsletter, I'm going to get some information from MWRD, because they do have stormwater management tips as well, and programs that you all can access if needed. So I'm going to drop down the link for the water management, for cleaning up after the flood, managing of stormwater in your home, and then downspout disconnection, and the different programs that the Department of Water Management has to try to help mitigate the cost of what happens, And I know that there's issues with the water department and the meter issues, and that is something that our office is tackling at the city council level. I know maybe Lenny can discuss about it more, but we are asking hard questions to the Department of Water Management on why some things operate a certain way. So with that being said, I'm going to drop the link as well. And if you're a renter, I'm also going to drop the MTO, the Metropolitan Tenant Organization's tenant hotline, in case you or somebody you know has flood damage that the landlord won't take care of. Call these people up, find out what your rights are, and then connect with our office to see how we can help on the city side. So with that being said, unless there isn't any questions, I'm going to go ahead and drop all these resources down on the chat.
Thanks so much, Angel. Does anybody have any questions for Angel this time? If you missed last week, we had the first one that we had, the first virtual night that we had a Meet the 48th Ward, where we got to hear the stories of not only Angel, who's our Director of Constituent Neighborhood Services, as well as Audrey, who's our Communications Coordinator, but we also got to meet Nicole and Jorge and Connor And someday we'll bring our board superintendent, Conrad, on. But I want to thank Angel for giving that presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Angel at this time about the presentation?
Yes.
Go
Yes.
for it.
Okay.
Thank-
Angel, what happens when the catch basins are dirty because of all the debris on the street? And then when it rains, it overflows and the cars like on Sheridan Road, it's like the water extends to like half the road. Then what? Then what do we do?
Yeah, so if there's no leaves or anything like that,
Nothing.
okay, so then at that point, it would be a sewer inspection. So we would have to have water management to see what is clogging it. Also, really quickly before I even continue, people have complained about sewage smells as well, up and around Sheridan as well. I'm looking into that. I don't know what the cause is, but that's a different story. I mean, it's a sewer, so it's gonna stink, but
Thank you.
apparently there's issues there. But for your sewer question, yes, so we would have to then get that. We don't know if maybe there's an equipment break, or I've learned a ton of things about sewers. So has Nicole. Yeah, we could definitely look more into that, and then try to figure out whether or not, it's an ongoing problem because of a systemic or infrastructure problem. So that at that point you would submit a 311 for a sewer cleaning inspection or a water on street complaint. And even if you put in a
I'll give you a call because with all the traffic, I think part of it is it's just yeah. Okay, I'll give you a call. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? We also have a Q&A function that you can use. We mostly use that for like if we run out of time so that people can record their questions, but you can feel free to throw stuff in there too. I see there's a question in the chat from Deborah. I don't know if Angel, you want to take a look at that?
Yeah, so think about a courtesy walk.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah, you mind giving me some more context?
Actually, it's been on the list for about 3 years. And the last time I checked, of course, was like the last week before we left. And apparently last year, the contractors had some kind of a dispute. So they actually didn't do whatever they were supposed to do because we were supposed to get our courtesy walk last year. And when I talked to Emily, because I wanted to make sure it was still in the budget or whatever it's done, she said that we were on schedule for it this year. So I'm just wanted to check again if we're going to get our courtesy walk this year. We don't have a courtesy walk to our building, and our the parkway is all dirt. So, all of the neighbors, really can't come up onto the sidewalk without walking down the street.
Is it dirt because contractors has work begun
No.
at all?
No,
Or
it's
has
just
this
dirt because the maple trees are blocking the sun.
Okay.
But it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. I usually, when I'm shoveling, I'll shovel a path for our neighbors. But in the spring and summer, when it's raining, like now, it's really hard to, you have to walk in the street to go down to the sidewalk by Berwyn.
Okay, let me look at our menu orders that we have that were submitted even before our time. And then I'll take a look at where that's at. I'll look into that for you. I'm gonna drop my email as well. And then you can shoot me an email just to have it on record. But yeah, so I'll look into it. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about that. So I'll look into it and get back to you.
All right. Thanks, Angel.
Any other questions? Can be.
I just wanted to ask one. Angel said he worked at our office as well. It's the same Connor that worked over at Simmons' office?
Are you asking about the Connor in our office?
Yeah, is it the same one? Because I know he worked for us. He was an intern.
I don't know if Connor interned for the former 48th ward, but no, it's different Connors. But
Okay.
that Connor still works for Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great Connors. We have great Connors.
And we've got plenty of time. So if you have questions about everything we've been talking about, that's great. But also if you have other things.
Audrey,
Mhm.
I do want to mention our shred event.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Please come to our shred event. It's going to be next Sunday at the Ward Yard. I'll drop down the address. We really look forward to it. Bring all the things that you don't want. And if you want to volunteer, I'm going to drop my email and we can coordinate that. Or if you know somebody that would like to volunteer, we usually just need volunteers to help sort out the paper and the paper clips, that may come with documents and vetting whatever is going to get shredded. And also, helping, just manage the car traffic within the ward lot. So let me know if any of you or someone you know is interested in volunteering for that. The shred event is my favorite event of the year. But I have yet to see the many incredible events that happen in the 48th Ward every year. So it may not be my favorite event at the end of our first year in office, but yes.
Yeah, and we've been including guidelines on what you can and cannot shred at these shred events in our newsletter. So I'll be sure to include that next Friday as well. So kind of right before the event.
Sorry, where is the shredding event?
The Ward Yard, the lot, the Streets and Sanitation Office, I'm gonna
Ravenswood?
include you. No. Our sanitation lot, which is in the 48th Ward, it's located, it's actually right by the Armory. So
Okay.
like 2 buildings down, but I'm gonna put the exact address.
There's a question in the chat about the deaths at the CHA building. I don't know if Angel, you want to respond to that as our public safety liaison?
Yeah, we don't know cause of death yet. Toxicology reports haven't came out yet, and I don't think we will get that information because we're not family members of the victims. So, still unknown, no known contaminants in the building, no known gas leaks, no known nothing. So it's a very, very strange, but we don't know anything, and we probably won't, to be honest with you, unless the media reports on it and they get some sort of information. We don't, but nothing has changed.
Another question in the chat, another public safety question from Tom.
Please provide an update on the recent shootings. Yeah, so we don't know yet. We believe that it was a conflict between some people. That's all we know. I can't confirm or not whether it's gang related. It's still under investigation. But I know that our violence prevention folks have established relationships with the victims, and trying to see if there is some sort of group conflict that is brewing, that can get out of hand. And if that is the case, then I know that we're working close with CP4P and our schools and all of our neighborhood groups to make sure that we have other things for our young people to do. There's plenty that we can offer. But from what I know right now, unless the Alderwoman maybe knows something, but I've been keeping tabs on that shooting. There's an increased police presence there. 60% of all crime in the ward happens in that intersection. So we have a lot of resources in that area right now. There's even a car that's stationed there 24/7, and we're trying to, on Argyle and Winthrop, and we're trying to figure out if we can get those officers to do some more foot patrolling, instead of just having a car there. There's officers in the car, but we want them to engage with the community. So we're working on that as well. But that's sort of I don't know what's going on at Thorndale and Sheridan, right? Is that like right now? Sandy, is that happening now?
Sandy,
About 20 minutes ago.
We haven't heard anything, so hopefully it's nothing
Okay.
too major.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angel. I want to say to Audrey, related to the question that Ori asked about the deaths at the CHA building on Broadway. at the Fisher Building, that I did drop by there to see how folks were doing. And, you know, it's very hard on the entire building. They're under new management. And I think it was her second week on the job. So the whole building has been very much impacted, but they're doing okay. They want to let you know that they're, you know, most that I speak to that live in there, they're very happy with the building and the management and the new management. So the deaths came at it was quite a shock to everyone, but everyone's doing fine, and we just wish that the community is able to come together, because something like this is something that is unusual. We don't want to normalize something like this, and at the same time, we want to make sure that all of them are okay, so that they're doing okay right now. Regarding the shootings, the 2 shootings within a short period of time on Argyle, this is also very unusual, even though Angel just said that many of the incidences happen at that intersection. The number of shootings within this short period of time, this has not happened in a very, very long time. So we had a meeting with many of the small businesses. It was already on the calendar. It was fortunate that it was the Tuesday after the second shooting that we were all able to get together at Sunwa on Broadway with small businesses on Argyle, the Chamber of Commerce at Uptown Chamber of Commerce, as well as CPD, including Area 3 detectives, including the state's attorney's office, including the Office of Emergency Management, the ones that operate 911, to get together and talk about how we're going to move past this and how we're going to make it safer. I want to also note that who else was present there was the management of the Major Jenkins building, which is run by Mercy. And so the building managers were also at the meeting, and everyone is trying to talk about public safety in ways that are very holistic. The Mercy management wanted to point out to us that 3 of those victims were actual residents of the building. So I spoke to them after the shooting too. They were not allowed to go back into the building for hours. And so I stood and talked to them while they were waiting, and no one wants to live in a neighborhood where there are shootings. And everyone should be able to walk across the street and not feel like their lives are in danger. And Chicago Mutual Aid Association walks that path all the time with their children on Argyle, and everyone wants to feel safe. So we are continuing to work together with our new police commander to address the technology that we have available on Argyle, including the cameras that are there, making sure that they are working, making sure that they're pointed in the right direction, and also making sure that we have enough eyes on the ground, Chicago Police Department, but also small businesses using their video cameras when they're available, as well as customers who come on Argyle all the time, residents who walk that street all the time, and residents who live right on that intersection. It's really going to take all of us to make sure that we address this. In addition to that, we also had the One North Side and Communities Partnering for Peace, anti-violence group leaders there, who are also a part of the new district councilor, the ones that you actually elected in the last election. There are 3 of them in the 20th district, in the 20th police district, and we have to work together to find ways to prevent crime from happening, and also work with our state representatives, including Senator Simmons and Representative Cassidy and Representative Han Win, to find ways to get the guns off of the streets. So it's really a lot, but also I am thankful that you're asking about what happened there, because that is something that should not be normalized either. We should not have that number of shootings in such a short period of time in our neighborhoods.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Yeah, a lot of work is being put into making sure that we know all the details, right? And also, like, I visit Argyle all the time. I stop by there a lot to build relationships with the business owners so they can feel comfortable to report. A lot of this stems from people not reporting things and people, which ends up exacerbating a problem. So building those relationships with these business owners is crucial. Like the Alderwoman said, we have resources. For example, our camera program. We also want to evaluate the technology that we're using. Is it being effective in the places we want it? So building relationships with the community is 100% one of the most important things that I think our office is doing. And it has led to great efforts. Like, for example, the Whitechapel apartments, when they were having issues, the community rallied, the CAPS office rallied, we rallied, the violence prevention, schools, and together we came out and we solved the case. So we really all did that together. So making sure that people understand that by reporting things and having conversations and working together, we can prevent these things from happening, because these perpetrators who are committing these acts, they'll know that the community is tight, the community knows each other, and that they will, in fact, act if nobody else is gonna do it. So we really are gonna do this together. So I just want to thank the Alderwoman for always stopping by the buildings and even after the fact when things happen, because that stuff means things to people. So thank you, Alderwoman. Yeah, appreciate you guys asking these questions. Please ask more if you have any further questions as well.
Yeah, one more thing to your point, Angel, about using 911. It's really the way that we're going to create a paper trail of what's happening in our ward. And I remember I live on Clark Street in Andersonville, and not too long ago, somebody had issues and they were committing violence against people in the middle of the day up and down the street. And it was because there were so many calls into 911 that we had a very quick, reasonably quick police response. So we are also trying to encourage small businesses to register for the Smart 911 app too, so that you could create a profile in case you do need to call 911. They already have all that information, but it's a challenge because some of the small business owners, their first language is not English. So there is a barrier there. So we are working really hard to make sure that everybody understands that calling 911 is the way that we're going to make our communities safe. We need to let the officers know what's happening. We also have to tap into our CAPS program, like Angel mentioned. In fact, maybe put a link to the next CAPS meeting, the community policing meetings, so that people can get involved in their neighborhoods. Somebody from the 48th Ward can do that. That would be great.
Yeah, all of those events, we make sure to put them on our ward calendar, and we linked the direct link to our ward calendar, and that includes CAPS meetings, district council meetings, and other relevant public safety meetings. Somebody's got their hand raised.
Oh, that's
Go
me,
ahead.
Toronto. I have a question. Thank you, Lenny and team, for hosting this virtual event, especially on a Sunday. My question's more general about the homelessness situation in Chicago. So I see Mayor Johnson has now appointed a deputy mayor of immigrant, migrant, and refugee rights, and there's a lot of attention on asylum seekers. I was wondering what the city is doing systematically to help those experiencing homelessness, especially with the weather changing. Are there going to be more resources and funding and shelters? Because I ride the CTA to go to work downtown, and every time I see, people have to sleep on the train, because that's the only way they find warmth. So I was wondering what the city is trying to do to help those experiencing homelessness.
Thanks for that question, Ronald. I'll comment and then I'll have Angel talk about the rapid rehousing events that we're having in the 48th ward. There's a tension, like you say, and it is because many people have been waiting in line for affordable housing in Chicago. And at the same time, we're welcoming thousands of new arrivals every month into Chicago and across the nation. And the fact that we are seeing people sleeping on our buses and on the Red Line and all of our train lines is just a manifestation of our broken systems, including our shelter system, where like too many people do not want to sleep in because it's unsafe, and also our affordable housing system. So on top of that, we have people sleeping in our Broadway Armory because the police stations right now, which are supposed to be a place for people who are housing insecure to go to for refuge, right now they are literally busting at the seams. People are sleeping on the sidewalks of the police stations, including the 20th district, which is on Lincoln, which represents our half of our ward. So the city has a plan to continue to push, especially our state and our federal agencies, to help with funding, not only for housing, but also the wraparound services that the migrants need. Right now, I'm asking everybody on this call to plug into the faith-based initiative that several actually of our residents, including Chris and Sarah, and also Pastor Beth Brown, are leading to include the faith-led organizations who have buildings to house those who need shelter. And that includes our new arrivals. But it is a very slow process, and it's something that's never been done before. We're trying to push the archdiocese to do more. We need the space. I prefer, if we don't have to build tents in our city, I prefer that people don't have to live on police station floors and also in congregate settings where you have no privacy. And I prefer that people are not sleeping on our lakefront as the weather is getting colder. So we need to keep pushing. We need to actually pass a permanent funding revenue stream, including Bring Chicago Home. So that's going to continue to come up. We need to get it on the ballot, and then we actually have to vote it. And then we have to create the framework in which we all understand where our funding is going to. And again, permanent supportive housing is the way to do it. I want to point out that permanent supportive housing already exists in the 48th ward, and that includes Major Jenkins building, where the shooting happened in front of in Argyle. So it is a way. We need people to get off of the streets and into buildings, and not just buildings, but also supportive services. So I look forward to continuing the conversation and passing Bring Chicago Home.
Thank you, Lenny.
Thanks, Ronald.
Ronald, to address your point on what we're doing right now, it's tough. I mean, when you don't have a system built to help those in need in an efficient way, this is what happens. So we are seeing the symptoms of disinvestment. We are seeing the symptoms of leaving this until it gets worse. And now here we are. But we do have some homeless folks sleeping in our parks right now along our lakefront. And our office is working with the Department of Family Support Services, the Night Ministry, Care for Friends, different organizations across the ward and across the city to help build a relationship with these folks in the tents. That way, when it comes to the Department of Family Support Services runs something called a rapid rehousing event. It's called the AME, Rapid Rehousing Program. Every couple months, there is a team at DFSS. I believe it's with them or it's one of their subcontractors or providers. They look for units that they can furnish fairly quickly. And then they place people there for a year and they pay their rent for a year and they help you, as the Alderwoman stated, you know, being homeless isn't just about having a roof over your head. Being homeless also means your credit has probably been destroyed. You probably have an eviction record that doesn't allow you to move or be mobile. You probably don't have an ID. You probably lost your birth certificate. Everything that makes you a person, you know, basically you don't have that. So this program helps you transition into that life, so that way you can become self-sustaining yourself. So the problem though is that people reject this service because the units are so far east, so far west, and so far south, when a lot of the folks, some of them even have jobs. But the problem is that because they have an eviction on their record or something else, they're just not able to get a place. And so they end up resorting to the street or parks. So anyways, we've been working with our team over here at the Department of Family Support Services to build those relationships with folks. So that way they do take the shelter, they do take the apartment unit. And just to note, we used to do the rapid rehousing program and there used to be units available here up on the north side. The problem is a lot of the landlords and managers, they didn't want to do it anymore. So, you know, a lot of folks have built connections on the north side of Chicago, whether that's in our ward or outside of our ward. And so they don't want to move to an area that they're unfamiliar with. And so they just resort to, you know, doing what they're doing now. But again, we're working really hard. We have outreach teams going out there every Tuesdays and Thursdays. We've got cleanups going on every month. And if you do find a houseless person, call our office, let us know where they're at, and I will let our outreach team know. That way they can go and provide services. And these outreach teams provide everything from detox to ID and record certification or recertification. And they also help with placing you in shelter if available. So that is what we're doing, what we're trying to do. That way we can permanently support these folks and we can treat them with the dignity and respect that they deserve as human beings as well. So we're doing the best we can, but we do need to bring Chicago home. And I'm really glad that it's in the initial stages and it has support. So let's continue supporting something like that. So that's what we're doing though, and on the ground here.
Thank you, Angel.
All right, it looks like there's a question in the chat from Deborah, and then a comment about the men's shelter at Epworth.
Yeah, so about the Epworth, yes, it's true. We do have a men's shelter at Epworth. However, there's a process to that. And if you're not added into the system, which most folks aren't, you don't get access to that. I also don't know if Epworth is connected to our 311 service and system as a shelter. So it's kind of hard to just place people in shelters. There's a process, there's procedure, and then there's a queue, right, of people waiting for shelter. So we are familiar with the Epworth men's shelter, and we work together as needed, as relevant when somebody needs assistance. But what we really want to do is continue building these relationships with folks and making sure that they understand that there's resources for them and how we can solidify plans of action for them so they can move forward.
Question that Deborah writes, is there anything that we can do to help get the Archdiocese on board with the refugees housing situation? And yeah, if you can, please reach out to us, send us emails and say that this is something that you would like to advocate for, but also reach out to your state representatives. And in my area where I live, I'm represented by State Representative Kelly Cassidy and State Senator Mike Simmons. And a little bit to the south of us, we have Representative Han Nguyen. And so reach out to them. We also need to tap on the governor's door as well. we need help from the state to make sure that it is not just the city of Chicago shouldering the housing situation that we're in right now. In fact, I worked as a physical therapist at the Oak Forest Hospital, for instance, and it's a part of the Cook County healthcare system. It was closed, and many of the long-term residents that were there for a very long time lost their homes. Now it is vacant, and I'm advocating for the state and the city to look at that facility because it is made to take care of people where they can have individual beds and bathrooms, shared bathrooms, space to have rehab, cafeterias. I mean, we need spaces like that. And in the meantime, I'm talking to all faiths to see if anyone in this area, especially the 48th Ward, we have so many faith-based organizations. Continue to talk with your groups to see if that's something that they're interested in, and we'll connect you with either Chris and Sarah or Pastor Beth Brown, and find ways that we can shelter our families, especially right now, because think about the space at the Broadway Armory. It's one big gym, and there's no privacy there. There's no place to lock your things. Every word is in the public. There's no privacy at all. So we would really love to have ways to welcome people in a more humane way. And in the meantime, we don't have any police stations in the 48th Ward, but the 20th District, again, it's busting at the seams. So please, anything that you could do would be great. And in the meantime, we do have on our website, and maybe Audrey can drop that link into the chat, ways that people can help with the migrant situation, either at the Broadway Armory or with our nonprofits that we have in the 48th Ward. We're really so lucky to have folks such as Care for Real who are helping our currently unhoused folks in Chicago, as well as Centro Romero, who can offer Spanish-speaking navigators to help. In fact, if you also speak Spanish, Centro Romero is looking for volunteers to help intake folks as they're coming in. And we have so many, for instance, this weekend at Senn High School, groups got together with the ECRA group, which is the leading organization in the 48th Ward that brings together all faiths to for instance, host an event this weekend for new arrivals, alumni from Sacred Heart, and other schools in the area to play together, just for the families to play together outside. So we have a fantastic ward that wants to help. There are many ways to plug in, and if you look into the chat, you should be able to see that there is a link for the Broadway Armory community support, but it also will point you to many nonprofits that have been doing this work for a very long time, and they could use your help right now because they are also doing the best that they can with the resources that they have.
Yeah, I'll just say really quickly that document is something we're always updating. And so, for example, we have a coat drive that we're doing for the winter in partnership with the Ismaili Center. And so that's not in that document yet, but it will be soon. So just keep checking up with it. All right, do we have any other questions? We've got a little under 10 minutes left, so definitely time for another question or two. But what I will say is that if you had, okay, actually I see a comment from Tom saying that in the future, you'd love to hear information on what's going on in City Hall. I think that's a great idea and definitely something we love to do. So thanks for saying that. We're working to keep everybody updated, both here in these ward nights and in the newsletter with City Hall information. So it's good to know that that's what people are interested in. if you have any other questions, you can go ahead and throw them in the like actual Q&A function in Zoom so that we can save them and then hopefully answer them later. If you have something that wasn't answered here tonight. And then we can save that. I also wanted to say that we are working on getting last week's Zoom call recording uploaded to our new YouTube channel as a way to keep record of all of these meetings. And so that is under construction, and I will put it in the newsletter when it's ready. And so then that'll have the recordings and then links to, you know, like the agenda, the chat transcript and everything like that. So that is in progress.
Thanks to Audrey for always doing such an incredible job with our comms. I also want to mention that we worked on a public safety guide, and it's always going to be on our newsletter as well, which answers your frequently asked questions. How to report a crime? What if I'm a victim of a crime? What are some mental health resources available to me? What are some other health and safety tips that I can take back? So make sure you check it out. It answers a lot of your questions. And hopefully it's of use to you when you need it.
Yeah, before we all head out, I will go ahead and drop that link in the chat as well, because Angel did a great job with that. It's very comprehensive, and that's another one that we're always working on and updating as we have more information to share. But yeah, that's that document.
So I had the question about the shredding volunteer job next weekend. What day is it and time?
It's going to be the 22nd, 1 to 4 p.m.
And how do you sign up?
I could reach out to you. So you shot me an email about your courtesy path, so I'll also include details on what we'll be doing. I'll also, Deborah, put you in touch with Connor, who runs lead on a lot of our volunteer work. So I'll let him know that you applied to volunteer and are interested.
I did. I received an email from him, and he just said he would get back to me whenever they need volunteers, but I haven't heard anything since then.
Oh, okay. I'll follow up with Connor. Thanks, Deborah.
Yes, and you can call me Debbie.
Okay,
Sorry.
cool.
I dropped that volunteer sign up form in the chat as well for anybody else who's interested. All right, if there are no other questions, I think we can probably end it there. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Lenny?
I want to say thank you. Thank you, Audrey, for keeping us tight with our time and our agenda. And thank you, Angel, for presenting today. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and for asking your questions. This is the beginning of budget season in City Hall starting tomorrow. I'm really excited to dig in and to learn so much. There's a lot happening. I will say that in this ward, the 48th ward, we have a lot of folks who are very interested in how we are going to engage with the conversation around environmental justice and how we can make 48th ward as sustainable as possible while we're also dealing with our flooding issues. So if you have questions about anything at all about City Hall, about the budget as it is right now, please shoot them over to us. We'd love to bring you to City Hall every time I go. And the only way to do it is through your engagement, through your questions, through your calls. So thank you for staying engaged. Please invite anybody to these meetings. We're going to have the next one. We'll put that into the chat too, and into our newsletter again. Maybe put the link as well as how to connect with us on the newsletter. And again, just one more time, if you haven't already, consider downloading the 311 app and also signing up for that Smart 911 profile so that you can plug into city services and also emergency services as you need it. And again, I'm sitting here, it's a Sunday afternoon on Bryn Mawr at 1129 West Bryn Mawr, and I'm really grateful to have a space here in the heart of Edgewater. And in thinking of you all, I hope you stay warm and dry today, and we will see you next time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.